What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video, and we gotta talk legendary relics. Now, we're gonna be discussing both the Chimera and the standard relics. I'm excited because I have a bunch of the legendary ones, and I really don't know who to use them on. So I brought Bick on to tell me what I need to do. Bick, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, Blazing, I'm fine. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you again for coming on to talk shop about these relics. Helps out so much. People are enjoying these videos. They're learning a lot, and they're just asking for more. Man, they want your knowledge.
Well, I'm happy here to give it with them. Oh, can't speak. Happy to share it with them. There we go.
All right, so we're going to start off with the standard relics, and I want to start off with the aspect of Siroth. Now, I have three of these, and I know that Rotos is one of the champions that really shines with this, but I feel like I'm missing out on somebody else. So with this one, we get defense, resistance, and accuracy. And then whenever the ally receives a fatal damage, reduces it by 50% of their turn meter, and then fully reduces their turn meter by whatever percentage it is, could be all the way up to 100, and it has a 1 turn cooldown. Now, what am I looking at here? Who do I want to put this on?
I think every single PvP champion would almost want this. This relic is absurd. I even believe they added the cooldown of 1 turn to it. I don't think this was there last time I checked it. And they also had to change how this relic interacts with certain champions like Marius, where basically his passive, where he's immune to turn meter reduction effects, basically made it so that this relic, yeah, it was
Made
basically
him
constantly
broken.
active. As if he wasn't broken enough,
Right,
he
right.
needed some extra help to stay on top of the meta. Yeah, so first of all, basically, if you max this out, it's basically whenever you receive fatal damage, you reduce it by 100% of your turn meter, and then fully reduces your turn meter. So basically, for the people at home that aren't too big into numbers, I'm going to give you a very simple example. You have a champion that has aspect of Siroth on him, and this relic has basically no level. So it's reducing the damage by 50% of the turn meter. So what this does is you have 100,000 damage incoming. And let's say you have 50% turn meter for this example. So you're going to take half of your turn meter, which is 50%. So half of 50 is 25. So basically, you're going to be reducing the incoming damage by 25%. And then you reduce your turn meter after this happens. So if you have a hit coming in on the champion that has this equipped and they're trying to hit you for 100,000, with a 50% turn meter, you will basically be reducing it by 25,000. So you will be taking 75,000 damage instead. Now, this is incredibly powerful because obviously, if you rank this up, the ratios just skyrocket because it's an additional 10% reduction per level, which is insane. And obviously, if you can keep your turn meter up, this is obviously even more insane. Now, they already had to nerf this relic because it was too strong. They added the cooldown, they changed some champions, so this wasn't like constantly broken with. This is being actively used on Rotos because it stacks with his passive, basically giving you double Rotos passive, so he can build Rotos low HP, high attack, so he hits a lot harder and basically just mows down the entire enemy team. Been fighting a lot of Rotoses in Live Arena as of late, thanks to this thing. But I personally think this relic is basically good on whoever you can put it on. Granted, you have a lot of turn meter fill effects or speed increase on your team.
Let me ask one question real quick, just so I understand it the right way. So whether my turn meter is at 75%, or let's say at 100%, and the damage is
Mhm.
reduced by 50% of my turn meter, I'm still going to lose 100% of my turn meter, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
lose my turn regardless because I'm absorbing the damage or I'm reducing the damage. Okay. That
Yeah.
helps out a lot because that now that I understand a little bit more. Okay. Sorry,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Yeah.
What is your dream of this?
Yeah. My dream of this is basically to have a full live arena team with only aspects of Siroth, just for the hilarity of it. Like just just having something silly like a Harima, where the defense can basically not be reduced because this relic has the double uh,
Circular?
circular gem slots with the one square, and there are some hilarious gemstones that you can slot into this. Absolutely hilarious. Maybe we should make a video about these gemstones after we're done with the relics, because the gemstones are also complex and there's like a lot of very interesting things you can do with it. But this relic having that square gemstone is a very, very big deal. You can do some very, very nasty things with it.
I was actually thinking
Um,
about the gemstone videos because I was like, which ones are gonna pair the best with it? So I think you're coming up on a
yeah.
whole nother series, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, the gemstones are an entirely different beast because these relics are already basically changing the landscape of how we are building our champions. Like for example, the Rotos that we spoke about, like instead of building him for a high HP, people are now shifting to building him low HP with high attack. But the playing field once again shifts once you add gemstones to these relics. And some of these gemstones are absolutely ridiculous. Like it is a lot of people are going to be very, very frustrated at PvP, and a lot of people are going to be having a lot of fun in PvP because of these gemstones and these relics.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, like having like a PvP team where basically every member of the team has aspect of Zero, it sounds like an absolute hilarious thing to do because people are going to be basically second guessing their entire teams. Why is my Narcissus not doing any damage? Why is my Taurus not doing any damage? Why is my Marius not doing any damage? It's basically just for the fun of it. It's a very strong relic. I personally use it on my Alas. He's basically my my carry champion in a live arena. Um, the moment he gets a turn, he basically just A2s with the zap, and the enemy team is basically gone. Doesn't really matter what's standing opposite of him. Um, you can use this in so many ways. Just having like pure damage reduction is a very, very big deal in PvP.
So let me ask now, champions that have multi hitters, right? Like Amarius, he's got his A2 that's a triple hitter. Is that off of every single one, or is that just off the first hit?
So it's depends on which hit deals fatal damage. If the first hit will deals fatal damage, then the second hit will obviously still kill the champion, right? But if it's the last hit in a line of multi-hitter strings, then the champion will basically not receive the fatal damage. Hopefully, if you get enough damage reduction, and they will survive it. So it's basically per instance of a hit.
Okay, so multi hitter champions still have a workaround against this. Okay, cool. Good to
As
know.
always,
Good to know. Hey,
yeah.
Taras gets nerfed by this, but that Marius gets buffed.
As always, they really designed the horse in a way where he is basically going to be sitting on top of the meta. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to Wand of Submission. Now, I have this one and I love it on my Taras. There is nothing better than going into a battle with a 6-star Siphi or a 6-star Duchess and then reflecting that polymorph back onto them. And they're like, wait, I don't get to go first? What happened? But this one gives me HP, speed, and accuracy, which again, for Taras, you need all three. Where it has a 25% chance, books up to what is it, 50 of reflecting a sleep stun, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, and sheep debuff back to the enemy. All right, what are we talking?
Yeah. This relic is straight up unfair. Um, I hate everyone who has this. I don't have one myself. I crafted the way weaker version of this, which is um, in the Chimera group, which is supposedly harder to get. in the same rarity, and it doesn't compete with this one at all. It gives you a lot of HP, it gives you speed, and it gives you accuracy. I think by far the best champion to put this on is Commodus. He's a bomb champion, and bomb champions are basically susceptible to sheep. And with this, basically, you have a 50% chance of just, you know what, go sheep yourself. On top of that, it gives you all the stats that you want on the Commodus. You get the HP, which he scales off. You get the speed, which is always good, and you get the accuracy, which you want as a bomb champion. Um, this thing would have been on top of the meta if it had a 25% chance to reflect, but it goes all the way up to 50%, which is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that it's like, if it was like 50% with only sheep, people would be wanting this like mad, but it's also all fears, it's also stun, it's also freeze, it's also petrification, and these are all extremely relevant um, keywords for PvP. And it basically just says, you know what? Go
Go take a long walk
crowd
off the
control
short pier.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the more you have of these wands of submissions, the better you are off at PvP at the moment, because this thing literally deals with basically all the stuff that people hate going against in live arena at the moment. So
So
yeah,
does this kind of counter Armand's? Do we still need to nerf him?
so I personally stopped banning Armands. I don't think Armands is ban worthy at the moment in the current meta, which is insane. Because we, like you already mentioned Marius a few times, but it feels like the more stuff gets added to the game, the better Marius it becomes.
Hmm.
Like the kit of him is so well designed. Um,
I actually
yeah, I
put
don't know,
Stone
like
Call on my Marius, and people are always shocked. Like, wait, why am I getting stunned and he's going? He's in a stun set?
yeah, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous what you can do with Marius. Like I think the only reason they don't nerf Marius is because he's a free to play champion, and then people will be saying, screaming out of their lungs that the Plarium hates free to play.
Right, right.
Um, but I think in any other game, a champion like Marius would have already been nerfed. Coming back to Wand of Submission, yeah, this one's basically on top of the PvP meta. This thing is insane.
Okay.
Another thing about Armand's, it doesn't, yeah, like you have a chance of him sheeping himself. I think like one of the most satisfying things to see in this game is basically an Armand's A2ing or A3ing and then just polymorphing himself, and you're like, I just won the fight, you know, and this thing can make that happen. Um, Another thing I'm gonna quickly mention about Armands, because we're like on topic of it. If you have the full cardiac heart, it's hilarious to see Armands A3ing and then just killing himself.
Okay. Okay. I think I got this on one of my alt accounts.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try that out.
yeah. So when he goes in for the AOE stun, there's like I've seen a couple of Armands that's just basically just exit the match voluntarily.
All right, let's take a look at Grocentus. Grocent? I don't know. How do you pronounce that? Do you know?
Gore Gorecresent.
Gorecresent. Wow, way to be dyslexic friendly, Plarium. All right, so this one gives us attack, crit damage, and speed. Whereas next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage, and it books up to, what is it, 50%. So I feel like this one's a good candidate for Rotos if you don't have Aspect of Siroth. Am I seeing that right, or what are we talking about?
No, you're totally correct. Rotos, Georgette, Wukong, Seekfront. So first of all, they had to nerf this one by already putting attack in the first slot instead of crit damage. It gives all the stats you want on an attack-based nuker. It has the correct gem slots. It has a triangular one for the extra damage. And basically, if you have a Siegfried or a He-Man or a Wukong or a Rotos or a Georgette, basically this on one of them is GG. That's a lot of damage. So there's currently people that are basically building Siegfrieds with cracking roots, like high blessing cracking roots on Siegfrieds, and then basically just A3ing through Stone Skin, killing the champion behind it. You get the additional instance of the A3 with the bonus increase, the damage increase. Gorecresent lines up perfectly for such a build, where basically you just like kill someone through Stone Skin, and then you just wipe out the entire team that also has Stone Skin equipped. Wukong can basically instantly make use of this on his A2. Rotos, when he goes in for the A3 or gets like an extra turn. Similar thing with Georgette, where he basically kills someone through Stone Skin with the A3, and then he gets to do the AoE attack on the A2.
So
Yeah,
right there, let me ask. So does it mean that it has to be like a back to back turn, like a Rotos going from his A3 to his A2, or is it just their next turn?
it's the next attack.
Okay.
So you could even put this on Marius, and then if you A2 and like the first hit deals some damage, the second hit kills somebody, then the third hit will get the bonus damage.
Okay. So triple hitters, multi hitters are definitely going to benefit out of this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. So if I put it on a champion, let's say like a ninja, but no, not ninja, I guess Maitra Ross, let's say, right? I use his
Mhm.
A2, then his next turn, do I still have that 50% damage boost, or do I lose it because I didn't go into a back to back turn?
You will still have the damage boost because it basically saves it until the next attack instance. But Plarium doesn't really word their stuff correctly, as we should all be familiar with at the moment. But basically, you should read this as attack instance. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the hand of Uncreation. Now, this one looks cool. Uh, I don't know though. Let's go with it's got accuracy, resistance, and speed. Reduces the chance of applying debuffs, stealing them, or removing them. Uh, Turn meter and increasing the skills cooldown against the wearer by 10%. Books all the way up to 20. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
I
chicken.
can. If you want, we can make like an hour-long rant video about why this relic is bad and why whoever designed this one should be fired. Clarion, because this is basically a rare relic with benefits. Now, if you click the Molten Death Bell
Okay.
for a moment, you can see that it also has the same amount of accuracy on the first slot. And Hand of Uncreation is basically just a bunch of accuracy, in my opinion. Now, why am I saying this? Well, here we go. Strap on. So, read this very carefully because this is the least dyslexic friendly relic in the game. Reduces the chance of applying debuffs, stealing or removing buffs, stealing turn meter, or increasing a skill's cooldown against the wearer. So the way this is worded is you are being afflicted by these terrible things. And these terrible things, you have an increased chance of resisting one of them. So if somebody is trying to apply a debuff, if they're trying to steal or remove a buff, or if they're trying to steal my turn meter or increase my cooldown, I have a chance of resisting this. Now, there's something very important here. If we compare this to the Wand of Submission, this does nothing against Polymorph, which is on top of the meta. This does
Mm.
nothing against Polymorph, which is very, very big. So straight out of the bat, it already doesn't do anything against the most important mechanic in PvP at the moment. You could say reduces the chance of applying debuffs count as being able to resist polymorph. However, a 6-star blessing, it doesn't need accuracy. Like a 6-star polymorph blessing goes a very, very long way. Now, comparing this to the wand of submission, the wand reflects it back with a 50% chance when fully maxed out. This one doesn't reflect it back. It just gives you a chance of resisting something. And if you max it out, it only gives you 20% chance. This thing is so incredibly outclassed. It's ridiculous. There needs to be a meta shift where this becomes relevant, because at the moment, this is not it. This is the feels bad legendary relic when you get it, because it could have been a Gorecresent, it could have been a Wand of Submission, it could have been an aspect of Siroth, but you decided to get ahead of Uncreation. And I just wish it would uncreate itself.
What would you think would be a better percentage wise? Should it just be like a 50% chance to just resist them? Or like how should Plarium go ahead and buff this relic?
I would like to see the base chance be increased to 20% and then have the percentage increase be up to 30%, personally. So basically, you have a 1 in 3 at that point, which is kind of similar to Torment, like with Torment's passive. One of the things that speaks heavily against this relic as well is basically the first stat is accuracy on it. So, and there's also speed on it. And then you have the resistance in the middle. If they had put the resistance at the beginning so that it gave like a lot of resistance, I could make a point that I can use this on a go second team. But the fact that they put accuracy at the very beginning and they put speed at the very end, it basically is hinting like, hey, we want you to be using this on a go fast team. However, at the same time, this relic does nothing at the moment, or very little, unless my opponent is taking turns and they're going faster than me. So, which champions do you want high accuracy on? These are your fastest champions in gen, right? Like your lockout champions, your Crixias, your Yumekos, your Warlords, stuff like that. Like where you basically just like say, okay, you do not get to play the game. I'm faster than you. Go next, go home. However, the problem is, again, this is reducing the chance of something terrible being inflicted against the wearer. So this means you didn't get the lockout, you didn't win the speed race, and then you have a very, very minor chance compared to similar relic in an easier to get group, because again, this is the Chimera group, the other relic is in the standard group. So you always have a 50% chance of crafting the Wand of Submission when you like craft one of these legendaries, basically because it's in the standard group. While for the Chimera group, you need to specifically use Chimera crafting materials. And then it's worse. It's worse. You literally have a relic that is harder to get, that is worse than the other relic. And it's worse by a very, very large margin as well.
Going, or I guess looking at them, right, we're going to go from worst to best. Hand of the Uncreation is the worst. Um, the Gorecresent is, I would say, 3. Then I would go. I would rank Aspect of Siroth as 3, and then more because I enjoy Wanda's mission, I would go that as number 1.
Yeah, at the moment, Life Arena is like one of the most important areas in the game, and the fact that Wand of Submission is so incredibly favorable in the current Life Arena meta makes it 100% number 1. Aspect of Siroth will always have very high utility. I kind of do think that the 1 turn cooldown is unjustified. It feels like they did a double nerf on it, but I still think it's like on top of the meta. It also kind of goes to say on how powerful it is. Gorecresent, it's basically just more damage. Gorecresent is basically win more, you know, like you've already won, but you want to win harder. You want to see those big numbers. And Hand of Uncreation needs a meta shift. This thing is so incredibly out of the meta at the moment. It is basically just an accuracy increase, but I can just use the Molten Death Bell for that because it gives the same amount of accuracy. And then later on, I can use it as a chicken for one of my wands of submissions when I do get one.
Okay.
So Hand of Uncreation is definitely the loser.
Well, I wouldn't say feed them as chickens unless you've got one or two, especially because they're difficult to obtain and
Yeah,
uh,
I would advise nobody to feed any of their legendary relics because they are hard to get. They are very hard to get, and the meta can shift. It's just that Hand of Uncreation just it's
sucks.
it's bad. It is
Gotcha.
bad.
All right, Beck. I again learned so much. Now I'm definitely gonna have to go back and relook at my relics and who I got and what I got on every single one, especially with my aspects of Siroth. I'm gonna try out your idea because I got three to just see how much fun it's gonna be in arena. So if you're that guy
I don't want to play. I don't want to play against you. Just saying that, like putting it out.
that
I don't want to play anymore.
well, I will apologize to anybody if it becomes toxic in live arena with those, but I gotta ask you for a shout out, brother. What you got for me?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Airfern too. He's a bit confused. He's been asking for the Armand's buffs and the nut nerfs. Send him your hopes and prayers. Yeah, he needs it.
Definitely love Airfern. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. Great guy. Has a pretty interesting view on things. And I don't support the Armand's nerf, or not the Armand's nerf, the G Nut nerf. Though Armand's, with Wanda submission, it's kind of fun to see him polymorph or stun himself a couple of
At,
times there.
at, at the rate Plarium is going, Armand is gonna. Yeah, I feel bad for people crutching Armands. Let's
Ye-
put it like that.
yeah, I really stopped picking him on my teams. I really stopped picking him. Uh, Again, Vic, thank you so much for coming on, man. It has been a wonderful time chatting with you about the relics. Join us every Sunday, 2 p.m. EST, for the Knights of Teleria podcast, where we dive into the world of Raid Shadow Legends, discussing everything from free-to-play strategies to pay-to-win insight, and covering the journey from early to mid-game. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned player, we have something for everyone. Don't miss out on the Knights of Teleria podcast, the only podcast for Raid Shadow Legends. As always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other, and I'll catch you guys next time.